Hey everyone, this is Travis, sending you content for the Never Ending Streamer. I want to talk about Survivor 50, Episode 4. I'm going to try my best not to ramble too much about this episode and just focus on the things that I liked. Um, yeah, this was a different episode. I do like that Survivor and Jeff Probst do their best to try new things and, create the best show possible. I do think that's why the show is so good, because they're not afraid to take chances and do different things. Um, but this episode, I wish we would have seen more from the cast. I do think this season, which like most seasons, there's going to be players that we don't see a lot of. But with the returning season, I was hoping to see more of the players more often. Just thinking of like Tiffany, I don't feel like we've seen a lot of. Who else? Drop a comment. Who else have we not seen enough of? I know you see more of the tribe that loses in each episode in this season. You know, we've seen a lot of the tribe with, David's versus Goliath, Ozzy, being voted off last week. Spoiler alert. Um, and I thought this week, I thought the vote would have been simple. I thought you vote out the person that was working tightly with Q. Um, but Ozzy was fixated. He wanted Angelina out. Um, now he kept saying he wanted Mike to be his number one. I don't know where that focus came from. Um, I understand wanting to get one of the trio of Davids versus Goliath out. I thought that last week. I thought not getting one of them out, although last week would have been, you would have probably had to have gone to Rocks to make that happen, which doesn't make sense this early, at least to me. And so I get that. But him going back to, hey, well, let's get one of them out. And he wants to play with Mike. He wants to play with Christian. So I guess that makes sense. Like, pick one of them. And um, I do think at this point, it seemed like Ozzy had been flexible, working with Emily. Um, I wish that working with him, Emily, Christian, you know, I kind of wish they would have just told him the plan to say, hey, look, I know you're trying to play a new game and you're trying to do your best uh, to move forward, but this is what we're doing. You know, we don't want to blindside you. And yes, he had the idol, but I don't, does he play the idol for Mike White in this position? I can't imagine that he wants to do that, um, just so he can make sure he can protect himself. Um, and obviously in the closing scene we see next week that he's, you know, pissed off about not being told. Even at the end of the episode, Christian says, I'll catch you up. And Ozzy's like, well, too late for that. Like, you can't catch me up. It's already been done. Like, so do feel like I'm not saying voting Mike out was the wrong move, but if you want to work with someone, I think you need to have that communication. Yes, do it and then ask for forgiveness later. It might work, but I think they should have read the room and realized that would have been the wrong move. Like, at least if they told him whether he played the idol or not for Mike, which I don't think he would have, at least he knows the plan and you're not leaving him out, which is, I feel like that's something that, Ozzy takes to heart. And I think you want to be at least in the know so that way you don't feel like an idiot or feel on the outs. Um, so I do think, and I don't know where I stand with regards to who was the best person to vote out. I think honestly, if you voted out Q last week, then you vote out Stephanie this week because they were a tight duo. Like that to me makes sense. Um, I think if you were going to take a David versus Goliath player out, last week would have been the best shot, but Q didn't have a vote. Um, and the flip side is they did get a David versus Goliath out because they got Mike White out. And I do believe that uh, Christian had pretty incredible episode. Um, Watching him deal with the aftermath of Mike White in confessional saying he needs to manipulate Christian to get what he wants, which is a pretty hard pill to swallow. You know, if you're friends with someone and you're openly saying that, yes, it's a game, and I understand that, but you know, that's I can't imagine that's easy to see, um, and hear someone say that about you. And you see Christian very upset in confessional about saying he's never cried about the situation with Gabby before and how much that affected him. And it clearly, even like so many years later, like dealing with the fact that, he thought he had someone close and, that person tried to get him out and knowing that Mike is using that to get Christian on his side. Um, which sucks. That sucks. Like having someone use something personal against you like that, I don't like it. Like, yes, this is a game of stealing and cheating and backstabbing and blah 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 blah, but it doesn't mean it's not gonna hurt. Like, so I'm glad that Christian could at least identify what Mike was doing and in that moment decide, you know what? Mike's the best storyteller here. He's the one who has the most influence, persuasion, and all this other jazz to like make him dangerous moving forward. Um, because if he's going to try to manipulate Christian now, what will make him from doing it again later or manipulate someone else to move against Christian? So, um, to in that regard, I think Christian did a good job of flipping the vote, and making sure that he has someone by his side that's not going to be using his personal baggage against him like that. So I understand Christian flipping it like that. I just do think that they should have decided, hey, we want to work with you, Ozzy. Like, we don't want you pissed off at us. But look, Christian's or Mike is coming for Emily. And I know you and Emily are working together. I want to work with you both. Like, I don't want to lose that. You know, I think there could have been a way, whether or not it worked out. I think you take the risk telling him there because you know the blowout what it's going to be if you don't tell him. And we saw it in the clip for next week. He's angry, and who knows what that will do to Ozzy's game. Um, or if he's able to like rally something to get back at Christian or Emily for not cluing him in on what was going on. Like he can completely blow up his game by being mad, but he can also use that to his advantage and play his idol if he forces enough people to want to vote for him. So I do think that they should have kept him in the loop. Gosh, what else in this episode was interesting? I hope I'm afraid Charlie's going to get tunnel vision, wanting to vote out Rizzo. I don't blame him. I think understanding how you lost Survivor in the finals is a big deal, and I can't imagine wanting to play with someone who is giving you that same vibe, that same energy, the same story. And but I am nervous that uh Charlie is going to get tunnel vision, and that's going to distract him maybe from making right moves rather than moves in the moment. Um, because moves in the moment, you might be thinking, oh, I got to get him out now. It's got to be now or never. And if he pushes too hard, will people see that and make him be the, you know, subsequent vote because he's trying too hard for one person. Um, so I also let's talk about the immunity challenge. That looked brutal. Um, the tribe, with Ozzy and Mike, they could not get it through the net. So I don't know if the boat was caught on the net in any way or if they were just so gassed and the boat was so heavy that they just could not move it another inch. That was tough to watch. They looked gassed, clearly. Everyone looked, like they were all their energy was gone after the challenge. And I feel like that's been the case for a lot of these challenges this season so far. And I guess most seasons. I mean, you don't have much nutrition, calories to help have enough energy to do this stuff. So it did seem like with the heavy pushing and lifting that, you know, the other tribes had bigger bodies to move that force or move those objects. So it did seem like from the get-go that this was going to be a tough challenge. So it felt like for sure before the challenge started that it was going to be a problem. I can't think of the tribe name, so um, yeah, I'd be curious to know what anyone else thinks about this episode. I would just to be clear, I'd rather have more confessionals from players. I'd rather have more screen time with players, and not the experience of hearing songs. It's just not my jam. Like, whether or not I like country music is irrelevant. Like, I don't like country music, but I just don't like. I want to see the characters, the players interacting, um, and the relationships they're building, and you know, I'd rather see camp life. And I just think that this was a miss for me. Um, Again, I like that they try new things, but um, watching confessionals from a non-player just doesn't feel like Survivor. I appreciate that, Zach Brown likes Survivor, has always watched it and all that jazz, and he got to be a part of it. I'm sure that was huge for him. He said so, but yeah, it's just not for me. And look, I'm not that what I say matters or it's not to rub anyone the wrong way, but I want to see more from the players that we've barely seen. Like, um, I think that's valid. Like, we have players returning for the third, fourth, fifth time, and we're not getting a lot of screen time for them. Let alone players like Tiffany who are returning for the first time. And this is her second time playing, but have we outside of last week's and her confessionals regarding her screen time with Aubrey, like what else have we gotten? And I'm blanking on kind of what else happened in the episode that I liked. Um, yeah, I don't know. I do think that uh long term, I think Christian probably made the right move, voting Mike White out. Short term, I think it was bad not filling in Ozzy. And I think Emily had, I know he wanted her to stay quiet on the plan, but I think she had the right headspace to say, Ozzy, you need to know what's going on. And because she wants to work with Ozzy and she understands you can't leave him out of the vote. So she tried to tell him. And I think that was her mindset. Um, so I think, yes, vote Mike White out. That's fine for the long game. Short term, so Christian's playing yes. Emily's playing yes. Like tell Ozzy, let him know what's going on. Um, Gosh, let me see. Is there anything else in my notes, which was just a few lines? Um, yeah, I it really all focused on the one tribe. Um, and clearly, I mean, God, are we going to see another switch at some point? Do we want to keep seeing this tribe go back to tribal council? I don't like we're not seeing enough from the other players and the other tribes. Like, and I get that that happens, but having these seasons where one tribe just gets decimated, it's not my favorite. Yes, those players bond tightly or whatever and they connect. But this is a returning season where people already have some bonds. And yes, they're forming new ones, but I don't want to see one tribe just go down to like one, two, three, whatever. Like I would rather see a balanced, and again, that's just the way it worked out this season, the way it's worked out in a few other seasons in the new era. We've seen it in the past. Um, and also, I'm not saying if they would have kept Q last week that they would have been in a better position this week either. So let me know what you think of this last episode. Were you a fan of the new edition of the mini concert and the reward challenge? Do you think more than one tribe should have gotten it? Are you okay that it was only one tribe? Um, what did you think about the Mike Christian situation? Uh, and I think that's pretty much it. I'm not going to meander too much on this. I am looking forward to next week. I'm hoping that it's more of a regular episode of Survivor. And I know we still have another appearance coming at some point with Mr. Beast, but hopefully that's a little shorter lived than what it was last night. So that's it. If you like this, let me know. If I ramble too much, let me know. And I will see everyone on the flip side. See you.